Nothing is wrong, and that's the problem. You're not in crisis. No alarms are going off. Nobody is pulling you aside to ask if you're okay. You still function. You go to work. You answer messages. You show up to things you agreed to weeks ago. You remember birthdays, sometimes even on time. From the outside, your life looks responsible, just slightly tired, slightly busy, slightly unavailable, which in adult terms counts as success. Nothing collapsed, nothing dramatic happened. Life didn't explode, it just got heavier. A little less energy, a little less patience, a little less interest in things that used to feel easy, not enough to complain about, definitely not enough to change anything. So you adapt. Humans are very good at adapting to things that quietly make them worse, especially when those things come with a salary. Reliable people rarely collapse. They keep going, they handle things, they absorb pressure, they become the person others can depend on, which sounds admirable until you realize that being dependable often means you are slowly spending energy that never gets fully restored. You don't burn out overnight, you become permanently slightly tired. So your body kind of plays along. Sleep, it just becomes lighter. Movement, well, that turns into something optional. Recovery feels more theoretical than real. You don't feel sick exactly. You just feel older, busier, stiffer, honestly more tired than last year. But that's vague enough that, nobody really investigates it. Again, nothing is wrong. Your world also becomes smaller, but in a very polite way. You end up seeing fewer people, but only the easy ones. You try fewer things, but only because, well, you're busy. You stay home more, because it's just efficient. Efficiency removes friction, but unfortunately friction is where most of life used to happen. Comfort quietly replaces curiosity. Not because you picked comfort, but because honestly nothing required curiosity anymore. No new city, no new job, no new environment forcing you to adapt. Stability is peaceful and sometimes it's deeply misleading. Small things accumulate. A little too much stress, a little too little rest, a little too many evenings that just disappear into logistics and screens. None of it is dramatic, none of it is memorable, which means none of it gets corrected. Maintenance, slowly replaces living. Once you are slightly depleted, the system reinforces itself. You feel tired, so you move less. You move less, so you sleep worse. You sleep worse, so you tolerate less stress. Less tolerance creates more stress. No villain, no single cause. Just a loop that doesn't care whether you're happy. Ironically, if something had actually broken, you might have acted. If you were truly exhausted, you would stop. If you were truly unhappy, you would leave. If you were truly sick, you would seek treatment. But, slightly worse does not qualify for emergency action, it qualifies for another coffee. Humans don't drift because they are weak. They drift because nothing pushes back. Bodies drift, careers drift, relationships drift, entire lives drift. Drift feels calm while it happens. Your reference point keeps updating. Last year becomes normal. Then that normal becomes baseline. Until something small breaks the illusion. An old photo, an old friend, a memory of how something used to feel. Not younger, just more alive. And suddenly the distance becomes visible. Not because it changed overnight. Because, honestly, it didn't. The most dangerous problems don't arrive as disasters. They arrive as slightly worse versions of normal. Life doesn't have to collapse to disappear. It just has to become small enough that you stop noticing what's missing. Nothing is wrong. You're just operating on a quieter version of yourself. And because it happened gradually, it feels like this is how it was always supposed to be until you remember it wasn't.